Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I am playing Premodern at the request of Patreon subscriber Beerguard. And Beerguard gave me a dealer's choice to do whatever I wanted in the Premodern world. And what I want to do is try the poster child, Mono Blue Dreadnought. I don't know what the opinion at large among average Magic players is about Premodern, but when the format is mentioned to me, the first thought in my head is Phyrexian Dreadnought. This just feels like quintessentially one of the top decks that you have to build all of your thoughts around, like all of those main deck naturalizes and disenchants and chain of vapors and random conditional removal spells in every list you see. They're all there to respect Phyrexian Dreadnought. When I think of powerful interactions from this era of Magic, Stifle-Dreadnought is one of them. The deck being Stifle-Nought, like being called Stifle-Nought, you'll notice the language, or the deck name in Legacy at least, doesn't really call Dreadnought deck Stifle-Nought anymore, because Stifle is like the 9th best way to get a Dreadnought into play. We just have so many cooler cards now. But here, back in the olden days, Stifle was it. This was the thing. This particular interaction suite, where Force of Will is not legal, but you can play Foil, Thwart, and Gush. That's a lot of stuff you could do without having any mana available. Oh, and Daze. Yeah, Daze is in the deck too. Surprise. And unlike Legacy, where you get Null Drifters or Urros or whatever it is you're doing with the other half of your deck, Urza Saga, just all these other powerful things you can do while trying to set up a Dreadnought. Setting up Dreadnought is about all this deck does. There is one Mishra's Factory. Good luck going coast to coast with that, but here it is. There is one Parallax Tide in the main, and another one in the board if you need to settle into some sort of land destruction side plan. It's available, but there is no way to win this game in this deck other than the 4 Dreadnoughts and the one Mishra's Factory. The only way to deal damage, you'll probably deck out before your opponent does with all the gushes and flash of insights and ops and portents and stuff that the deck plays, so we're not playing to that. This is pure, it's beautiful. I've also learned while putting this deck together for this video that Foil is like a $35 card on Magic Online right now, and I already owned this playset because there was a time where people thought this was playable in Pauper, and I cannot wait to sell all of these as soon as this league is done, but that's neither here nor there. This is Mono Blue Dreadnought. This is a single-minded deck trying to do exactly one thing, which is connect with Dreadnought twice. We're basically playing Dan, but unlike Dan, where your opponent has access to all the same stuff you do, and in the mirror, it's literally Dan, but we have to play Dan against other decks, which is actually really funny to me. I have 0 practical reps with this deck. Again, not a Premodern expert, but this is one of the decks I could build in real life if I were to play Premodern. So it's important I am at least aware of how it works. Let's do it. This is Mono Blue Stifle-Nought. I'm on the draw for round 1. I am going to keep my hand. It has lands. It has some interaction. It's got a Gush. I've got 3 ways to set up a Dreadnought if I find one. And one of the conversations that I had about Premodern recently was that Stifle is such a useful tool against so many things in the format that you probably shouldn't just be stifling off fetch lands. And I think with a hand like this, with 3 ways to enable Dreadnought, I would stifle off a fetch land if I got a chance. But it looks like we're playing against some sort of graveyard something or other. Yeah, Reanimator. Straight up Reanimator. Iridescent Angel is the best we got here. Achroma is one of the things as well. Iridescent Angel does have protection from each color, which, on the one hand, I can't Chain of Vapor that. On the other hand, it doesn't block Phyrexian Dreadnought very well. Though this is a raceable thing, and Undiscovered Paradise bounces during the untap step. They're playing on 1 land. Daze would have actually been awesome here. Unmask. Pitching Reanimate. Okay, so they're rolled up, is what they're saying. I'm going to read all the words on this. Choose a land type and a basic land type. Each land of the first type becomes the second one. Okay, Undiscovered Paradise was not in play at any point this would matter, and doesn't have any land types to change, so I couldn't have turned like this into a mountain where it can't cast Reanimate. Not a thing. Target player mills 4. I don't think I'll be doing that. Okay, sure. This is happening. They can't take me off Stifle. Vision Charm kind of sucks. I suspect I will lose Gush or Counterspell here, depending on how long my opponent thinks this game is going to last. Gush, okay. So they are going to cast an important spell this turn, which we could have read by the fact that they pitched a Reanimate, which is the best card they could have. Oh, there's more. Dark Ritual. Duress me as well. All right. Ripping it apart over here. Or are they going to go Exhume then to save the life? They pitched the Reanimate so they didn't have to take 7. Oh, smart. Taking the Vision Charm. I definitely would have milled myself for 4. No, I wouldn't, because the only thing I could hit is Dreadnought, and I can't scam that into play off and Exhume anyway. All right, no, never mind. Doesn't matter. But they did have Reanimate. All right, the race is on. They're all in on this 4-4 that's difficult to interact with, but if I draw Dreadnought right now, they are dead. Because they're at 13, which is actually the same as 20, given what my deck does. Because attacking with Dreadnought twice is 24, and even if they blocked once with Iridescent Angel, they would take exactly 20, so the Reanimate is completely nothing. Foil, thanks for showing up. You're a little late. I have 2 Stifles, and they know it. I have a Counterspell, and they know it. I just need a Dreadnought. They did not play out their land. There's Daze, a little late to the party. I do have to hit them twice with Dreadnought, which means that this Angel, I go to 12, I get a draw. I go to 8, I get a draw. If I play Dreadnought then, I go to 4, they go to 1. Okay, so I actually need to draw Dreadnought this turn to win this game. Come on, Dreadnought off the tippity top. Show them what's what. All right. The game is not winnable. Let me just double check. I could Gush into 2 Dreadnoughts. All right, I guess I am playing 2 and out, even if it's unlikely. I have to draw Gush. It has to draw 2 Dreadnoughts. I jam in both. The synergy of Foil has to discard an island and another card, and Gush puts 2 islands and 2 other cards in your hand is so sick. Duress. I'm just going to cast Daze on that. That lets me keep my Counterspell. Okay, dead. Sweet game, though. I mean, my opponent had turn 1 loot, turn 2 discard you twice, Reanimate, and we still continued to play. I'm not upset about that. A Flash of Insight is more dig. I don't have Graveyard Hate. Misdirection. I can make them reanimate something different. I can make them unmask themselves. You can't redirect Duress because it says target opponent. Misdirection is probably good enough. Chain of Vapor hits a Chroma. The fact that they also had Iridescent Angel cut off a bunch of my outs compared to a Chroma who would have been a lot faster. That's like the best thing to do to reanimate in the format. Okay, I don't think I'll be attacking the lands of this opponent. That's not what the games are going to be about. I want Opt, Port, and Impulse. I want all of that. I'm on the play where Daze actually looks really good. Do you ever shave on Stifles, like Dreadnought Stifles, in a matchup where it might just be about the fastest Dreadnought? Maybe I'm not bringing in this other Flash of Insight. Impulse. Like, finding a Dreadnought was everything that game. But if I don't have critical mass of Stifles to get the Dreadnought into play, that could also be a problem. Thwart might be too slow here. You have to return 3 islands to your hand. All right. I'm replacing Thwart with Misdirection and replacing destroying lands that doesn't matter with bouncing a creature with which might matter. Hydroblast would counter Stronghold Gambit, which we did see, but I'm not going to start bringing in fringe weird stuff. Okay, looks great. Entomb is banned in this format, for the record. Okay, I'm going to portent myself. Look at the cards. Okay. One of my favorite prompts on Magic Online. I'm going to go Island, Gush, Viz Charm, and I am not going to shuffle. I like the counterspell in my hand. I like additional cantrips. I like hitting land drops, but I want to hide the Gush from a potential turn 1 discard spell. Gemstone Mine. They've just passed the turn. Suspicious. Okay, well, I'm going to pass the turn back with Counterspell available. This feels like maybe Stronghold Gambit with Unmasked to protect it. Or maybe I just don't know anything about the format. Maybe I just saw like the top 1% of Reanimator draws last game, and now I'm scared. I would believe it. I portent myself. A Dreadnought and a foil. Okay, we are in business. I'm going to go Island, Dreadnought, foil, no shuffle. I draw foil on their upkeep. If they Stronghold Gambit, I can Gush in response and then put in Dreadnought and Stifle the trigger. But I have Counterspell, Path to Dreadnought. I could Dreadnought with 2 counterspells up next turn. I can also protect Dreadnought from removal with Vision Charm if I use Stifle to put it into play. The opponent's still playing Draw Go over there. I wonder if they bore it into, like, Control Reanimator. With 2 counterspells available, I'm making my move. I have a Dreadnought. Now even a medium-sized Reanimate's not good enough, because I could probably just raise it. Hey, I beat a Chroma with this. I beat Iridescent Angel with this. Hey, dumping out. Suddenly a bunch of petals available. Cabal Therapy. Resolves. And if they name Counterspell, the Counterspell is gone either way. If they name Gush, that would be super heads up because that also turns off foil. All right, they name Counterspell. I have another one and a protection spell. And I can reload and muddy the waters with Gush. And bouncing 2 islands is the cost of Gush. So it's not even like if I announce Gush, they could in response kill Dreadnought when I can't foil. The islands will just be in my hand immediately. Stronghold Gambit. I wish I knew more about this format. Like, what could they put in here that actually messes me up? I tried looking it up real quick, but Reanimate decks are so all over the place that it's hard to even say. Asara the Dreadful, Phantom Nishoba. I could foil this, but I might not have to. Alright, I am going to Gush in response and then make decisions. If I hit a Dreadnought here off this Gush, then I just easily let this resolve. Okay. I guess I foil, because now I also have Daze, which is nice. Stronghold Gambit, by the way, for those who don't know. Each player reveals a card in their hand. The player who revealed the lowest mana value creature puts it onto the battlefield. It's like a show and tell that's risky. It's good against creatureless decks, or if you're able to discard the creatures out of your opponent's hand, it's good there. Oh, yeah. Okay, well. Attack with Dreadnought. And I'm going to leave this island in my hand. Now I could just play Daze. Daze could pick up an island, then I could discard 2 islands and make them pay 1 more along the way. I could just discard Vision Charm and Island to foil and then Daze. There's a lot going on here, and I like all of it. Another Gambit. The real Gambit, once again, is do I think I can beat what they're doing? Okay, so if I discard Vision Charm, the jig is up. I think what I want to do is float a blue, Daze, make them spend the Lotus Petal, and then I'll foil the Gambit, discarding the 2 islands and use Vision Charm to protect Dreadnought in case there is a Shatter coming my way. I don't need these lands where I'm going, which is 12 to the face. Oh, didn't pay for Daze. They've got a better plan. All right, that's even better for me. Now I just get to double protect Dreadnought. And they've seen the Vision Charm, so if they're holding a removal spell over there, they know it won't work. But what they can try to do is do it in my upkeep, so I have to phase my creature out for the turn, and they at least buy a turn out of that, but then foil messes that up. Crumble. I'm just going to try to win the game. I don't think I need to be too clever here. If this were a control matchup or somebody with more tools at their disposal, I would have considered Vision Charming, just take the turn off, keep the foil up. But they're just dead, and they're a combo deck without a lot going on. I mentioned in the last sideboard screen that Hydroblast counters Stronghold Gambit. And then I said I might not be that interested in that, but then my opponent played multiple Stronghold Gambits in the same turn. Is that plan A now? On the draw, Daze, but Daze would have won me game 1. Am I being too clever with Hydroblast? In some of the stuff that gets reanimated in this format, like Rorik's Bladewing, Hydroblast does actually just kill that. I think I'm going to cut Dazes on the draw for Hydroblast, even though my opponent is a low resource deck, and Daze might be a surprisingly hard counter late. The alternative is like a Vision Charm and an Impulse. What if I just want all my free permission, or all my early free permission? I still think Thwart sucks. Sorry, Phil Bleckman. But what if I just want my free permission to try to survive that early turn and get set up? I think I'll try this. Well, there's all the cards I want. Unfortunately, I'm playing against a discard deck. This may or may not be good enough. If they jam a turn 2 Stronghold Gambit, they're dead though. If they jam on turn 1, I could just delete 25% of my win cons and counter the Gambit by putting in Dreadnought. I don't get to keep it, but my opponent doesn't have a Chroma in play. I found a bunch of Flash of Insights when I was digging into my collection for Premodern cards a couple weeks ago. Dark Ritual, scary. Ball Therapy, Resolves. Please don't name Phyrexian Dreadnought. I mean, Foil is the card you have to worry about here. Oh, that was targeting yourself. That's even better. Okay, so they're going to exhume a Phantom Nishoba here. One of my all-time favorite Magic cards, by the way. Alright, enters with 7+1 counters. When it deals damage, you gain that much life. If damage would be dealt to this creature, remove a +1 counter instead. Okay, now I am scrambling for Chain of Vapor. Or I could just put this Dreadnought into play next turn. I can put Dreadnought into play next turn anyway. I could play around Duress by keeping an extra Stifle. Okay. I am not going to shuffle this. They did go almost all in on that. Yeah, their hand is Careful Study right now, plus whatever they just drew for turn. And a thing that might matter is Phantom Nishoba doesn't have lifelink. It's when it deals damage, you gain that much life, which I can Stifle if that is the damage race we end up inside. Oh, that's tough. Yeah, if they just spike the Dreadnought here, this game just got really hard. That was off the top, too. Fuck. Please just be wrong. Name Chain of Vapor. Damn it! Opponent knows what they're doing. Alright, I think I just lost. I played around Duress, but couldn't play around an Unmask or and they couldn't unmask me anyway. And now, what do I even do? I'm dead next turn. I can Flash of Insight to cycle it off, and then see one new card next turn. Fudge. That was so good. Yeah, I mean, that was just a top deck Cabal Therapy that named the correct card in the blind, so opponent played well, drew the right card and used it correctly. Nothing to be upset about there. The top of my deck is Vision Charm, which only phases out artifacts, so targeting Nishoba doesn't matter. Okay, end of turn. And this is my only out. I'm going to Flash of Insight for 0. And then I draw Vision Charm. And I have to Flash of Insight, exiling Portent, and hope that the top card of my deck is exactly Chain of Vapor. Alright, look at one card. Chain of Vapor, let's go. Play to your outs. It's an island. Alright, GG. That was sweet. And dynamic, exciting gameplay. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, MagicCon, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw for round 2. I've got some selection. I've got an enabler. Got some interaction. I'm going to keep. We're playing against Didgeridoo. Great name. A Bloodstained Mire. Am I about to get gobbled? No. Alright, good news. Just a Duress. I can take that. I've got 2 cantrips, 2 counterspells, and 1 Dreadnought Enabler. What they take here would tell me about their hand. Okay, Daze tells me they're trying to do something soon. A Portent. I'm going to Portent for the velocity here. Oh, well, those are all the cards I want in my life. Okay, I'll put Island, Dreadnought, Stifle, no Shuffle. Guess I didn't really need the Stifle, but that plays around Duress. Wall Therapy. All right, I played around it as well as I could. Named Vision Charm. Got bad news for you, homie. Pew pew, scooper. Big shrimp and spend and cheese. And this just dies to like a removal spell. But if they're a combo deck, they might not have one of those. Headhunter. When this creature deals combat damage to a player, the player discards a card. I don't care. I do not care. Okay, attack. Yeah, Headhunter affects the player it hits. You can't, like, hit and then choose to discard a card. And you can't attack yourself. So I'm not worried about this in enabling a graveyard combo of any kind. All right, well, that's why this deck is strong. Sometimes you get Thoughtseize to twice and then just win on turn 3. I don't really know what I'm playing against. It certainly feels kind of like a combo deck with the amount of discard I saw, but I don't really know what that Headhunter was doing. That maybe this is like Dead Guy L, but they wouldn't play Gemstone Mine. Okay, Misdirection seems solid versus various discard spells. If this is a Dead Guy L kind of thing, Parallax Tide is tempting, but I don't know that it is. Powder Keg does kill face down morphs. They don't have a mana value, just straight up. Flash of Insight is a way to dig through a bunch of discard, but I still just have it in my heart and my soul that this is a combo deck. All right, I'm going to shave a Daze and a Thwart and bring in these 2 cards until I have more information. I don't know what's going on. Uh-oh, this hand's really bad against Cabal Therapy. I think I have to keep it, though. I don't think the first therapy of the game would name Dreadnought, but if they have creatures to send it again... Oh, green mana. Is this like Rexer? Is that what we're doing? The Headhunter could be just a spicy one-of in a like survival of the fittest style deck. Ravenous Rats. All right, well, Flash of Insight's better in the graveyard than it is in real life anyway. Draw foil, win the game. Vision Charm. All right, well, that sets up the second Dreadnought. Dreadnought and target artifact phases out, which is great because that means they can't even kill this on their turn. We got a dirty dog in the chat. Okay, yep, I'm a bit of a dirty dog. I don't know if that, I don't know when that was sent, whether it was in response to discarding the flash or to having the Dreadnought. Either way, I accept I'm a dirty dog. And the second Vision Charm can protect the first Dreadnought or add a second one. We just get it coming and going. Just like your mom. Oh, scoreboard. I don't know what's wrong with me. They haven't diagnosed it yet. All right, well, target artifact phases out. Gazoo. And then I have no creatures to sacrifice. That's unlucky. I could Flash of Insight for up to 3 cards here. Like I could float 2 or float 1, Gush, Flash. I can see a lot of cards, or I could just Impulse and then Gush. I don't know. I got a lot of options here. It is pretty sweet that phasing just works for the whole turn cycle. Phasing is a weird mechanic from these early days. Ooh, Phyrexian Furnace. Yeah, I might just Flash of Insight then. Gaboing. Yeah. You're not getting that. Do I want a land or a Flash of Insight? I think I want Flash because Gush is going to hit my next million land drops anyway. All right, deal. 2 cards left in hand. Green and red are the shatter colors. Upkeep, anything. Naturalize. I'm going to Impulse in response. Oh, I should have Gushed first if I'm going to do both. What am I even doing? Yeah, why would I want to cast Counterspell here, you fucking moron? Oh my god. All right, well, that was bad. Yeah, my plan was to Gush and Impulse, and in my brain, they were equal, but they are very obviously not, and that was terrible. All right, I'll put Counterspell in my hand, and then I'll Gush and hope that I find a foil or my one of days or the third Vision Charm. All right, I found none of those things, and it's my own stupid fault. All right, cool. I accept those beats. The deck. The deck letting me know. I know I messed up. You don't have to rub it in. Okay, opponent's at 17 instead of 5. Ravenous Rat's getting its third taste of my face, which I think is gross, but rats like. My Furnace has been Phyrexified. I think I'm going to be spending a lot of mana over the next few turns, so just denying almost anything here is fine. Oh, another foil. Cool. That is what I was trying to find last turn. If opponent taps out this turn, Duress, I should probably Gush in response. That is the card that I want most in my hand. I could also just foil this. I could Gush and then foil it. Right, I'm gushing millions of cards in my hand. Hey, the card counterspell. I'll cast that instead of any of the things I said. Gushing when you're not cashing out can feel pretty bad because you end up with the handful of lands that doesn't really do anything. If I find a Stifle, I get to play Dreadnought with almost as many cards in my hand, or almost as many counterspells as my opponent has cards in their hand. Something's happening in the upkeep. Icing my island. Where the hell did ice come from? Sure. All right, the third Dreadnought. I think I'm just going to discard Flash of Insight to hand size here, though I could Flash of Insight for 1 next turn. No, I think I'd actually rather see 1 card, because, again, Gush is going to hit my land drops. Opponent's got 3 cards left in hand, plus a Call of the Herd in the graveyard. Carpet of Flowers, yeah, that's fine. Mana is not what I'm gating here. Ravenous Rats, 5 damage. I love Ravenous Rats, especially this invasion art. Just looks good, feels good. Tempting Worm. Each opponent may put any number of artifact, creature, enchantment, and or land cards from the hand onto the battlefield. Well, if I Gush in response to this, I can put all the lands back down. Artifact, creature, enchantment, and or land cards from the hand. All right, well, I'm going to Gush in response and hope that I hit a Stifle so I can also put a Dreadnought into play. All right, I could opt in response here, but then, or I get to put the land into play. All right, yeah, I'm going to still opt. And if I hit a Stifle, we're in business. Impulse to the bottom. All right, well, here we go. I'll play this game with you. I would like to put in Island, and Phyrexian Dreadnought, and keep one of the islands for foil. Target artifact phases out. This one. I choose this one. 1 card left in their hand. That was a fun interaction. Another Tempting Worm. Okay, so that's 10 power. Still have the biggest creature, and I'm still winning this race. Okay, sure. Sweet. This format rules. And I think now that I know they're out of gas, I'm going to put the other island into play so I can Flash of Insight for 1 in the end step, and then see a bunch more cards in the upkeep, or on my next turn. And I can just hard cast foil. X is 1. Vision Charm. All right, we were 1 card away from a second Dreadnought there and just dying to Tempting Worm. If I draw Island, I'm going nuts. All right, I'm going nuts. Officially nuts. Attack for 12. Phyrexian Dreadnought. Not available to block. Is available to kill my opponent next turn, though. And I'm going to pass with foil active, and I can Flash of Insight looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. Opponent gets a boatload of mana. There's a Call of the Herd in the graveyard, but I don't care about that. Whatever card is in their hand right now has to be beat a counterspell and 2 Dreadnoughts. Wow, that was sick. GG's, that was a lot of fun to figure out what they were doing on the fly and navigate all the silly interactions. Gushing in response to a Tempting Worm might be one of my new favorite Magic plays in all of the earth. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
On the draw in round 3, I'm going to keep my hand. It does need its next land, and if we're playing against a deck with Sphere of Resistance or Rishadan Port, this could become challenging. Or if I get my Opt to rest. Okay. Just hit the next land easily. That's fine. Another swamp. These Kamigawa Neon Dynasty modern era special swamps look so jarring in the pre-modern landscape. I think I actually do want to keep hitting lands here because I have foil and I have flash of insight. I have ways to spend mana and use islands, and I am okay being patient. Ooh, Eternal Dragon, let's go. Got some black-white something or other going on over there. Tutor to Zendikar Rising Plains. There are some folks out there who enjoy building their decks intentionally with the most horrendous versions of cards. Vindicate. Well, that's bad. I'm going to try to Impulse and hit Daze. Daze double counters this because it removes the... Or Gush. Oh my god. Am I even in a position to use Gush here? Gush lets me foil the Vindicate. Okay, I'm going to take Gush. And the problem here is if I Gush, my hand gets 4 cards larger, and then I draw for turn, and there's no way I can use them all. So I'm actually going to foil this. Or I could just let them Vindicate my land and hit my land drop. All right, yeah, I think that's actually the one. Never mind. It's fine. Okay. And now I'll pass. Anyway, like there's people who build legacy decks using all secret layers and bonus sheets, and they just try to make the deck look as heinous as possible. And I know that demographic exists in pre-modern as well, and it's so much more jarring there than it is in legacy. I'm actually a huge fan of that type of humor. All right, well, I guess I am gushing. Like it or not, here it comes. I found a Dreadnought. I should probably just Flash of Insight here to get it in the graveyard. Like, I'm just never fucking using this card. Okay, that has happened. And I have to discard a bunch of cards here. Thwart's never happening. Clean up. Discard Thwart and Vision Charm. I have Stifle and another Vision. All right, how many Vindicates you got for me? Black-white seem like colors that can kill a Phyrexian Dreadnought pretty reliably as well. I don't love that for me. It is fun, just thinking about the game that we're playing here on a conceptual level, because it's turn 5 and I only have 1 land in play. My opponent's targeted 2 of my lands with Vindicate, but I still have land drops to make. They've only actually killed 1 land. Dust Bowl, destroy target non-basic land. Safe from that. Oh, I could shove this Dreadnought. I don't think I'm going to do that. My opponent had a pretty boring last turn, and if I wait, I can Stifle and Dreadnought, protect it with Vision Charm from removal, and still have the foil available, and I can Flash of Insight in the end step. Right, opponent had an end step Skeletal Scrying that seems to have found Eternal Dragon, which cycled for planes. But my opponent, like on this conceptual level that I was talking about, my opponent has used cards to remove lands from play temporarily. And the word temporarily includes the word tempo, which only really matters if you're taking advantage of it, which my opponent to this point has not. Okay, a backup Dreadnought. That's probably what I want. I have way more enablers. Yeah, if the first one ends up dying, there's that one of Mishra's Factory. I don't think I'll be playing that. Phyrexian Dreadnought. Stifle. Vision Charm can phase it out if they have a removal spell. Foil can counter something. Gush can refill me. And if they just don't challenge this Dreadnought, I have Vision Charm for the second Dreadnought in my hand. Swords to Plowshares, okay. Target artifact phases out. Zoop. And they didn't respond to that, that's good news. Wow, they're buying back an Eternal Dragon? That's the best thing you can do with 5 mana right now? That's exciting. Yeah, that's a 7 mana 5/5 that does not win the race versus Phyrexian Dreadnought. I gotta be real with you. Played a Plains from hand. We know they're holding an Eternal Dragon and then 3 mystery cards. I guess. Do I play a land? Do I just go to combat? If I play the land, I can hardcast foil, but I don't think I actually want to hardcast foil. I think I want to gush and then do something with that. Okay, yeah, they just took 12. I can play this Mishra's Factory, which can hardcast foil. It doesn't get picked up for gush. If I gush now and hit, I could add another Dreadnought to the board, then I feel awesome. But if I find nothing to do with this mana, this is a terrible gush. Okay, ended up being good. Dreadnought, Stifle, foil back up. Okay, I managed to use the mana perfectly, and I'm still holding a counterspell that went as well as it could. Cycling Eternal Dragon. The old 7 mana put a planes in your hand sequence. If they have like Duress plus Wrath of God, I am in the garbage. Foil that, discard Island and Island. If they have double Wrath of God, that's not great either. They do have enough mana to do that. Okay, but they don't have it. All right, Black-White Control. This is a Parallax Tide matchup, if ever one there was. I didn't really see them do anything. Is Eternal Dragon actually the win con? This seems like a matchup for Parallax Tide, and misdirecting a Vindicate is nasty. Flash of Insight, yeah, just keeping my cards fresh. Daze lines up extremely well against specifically the card Vindicate at any point in the game. But we also saw my opponent end the game in a spot where they could have cast 2 Wrath of Gods on the same turn. Chain of Vapor is part of the Parallax Tide package. Like, you can exile 5 lands, hold priority in response, bounce Parallax Tide, then they're just gone forever. But Stifle does the same thing. But I want my Stifles for that function. I think I can cut 1 chain. I also don't know how they win yet, and they might have some permanent I need to remove. I think I actually am going to shave these Dazes. That game went forever. Am I supposed to board in the other Chain of Vapor when I go on the Parallax Tide plan? Is that something I settle into and just make plan A? Like, I could cut a Vision Charm, bring a chain back in. This slows down Dreadnought, but if they're a black-white deck full of removal and Parallax Tide is now what I'm trying to do. But I only have 2 of those, but I do have all the selection. I can just prioritize that. Okay, I think I am going to mess with that. The Vision Charm is really good against Swords to Plowshares, but so is Parallax Tide, exiling all their lands forever. Okay, I will try it like this. This is the sampler platter, a little bit of all the plans. Oh no, the one of Mishra's Factory actually making my hand uncapable. This is a great moment to talk about deck building, as this deck has 17 islands and then 1 Mishra's Factory. And without knowing much about the format, I assume this Mishra's Factory is for like your standstill matchups or once in a while, like versus Wrath of God decks, being able to apply any amount of pressure versus them. And 17 against 1. A lot of people would use the word free to describe 1 Mishra's Factory. Like, yeah, once in a while you just get this in addition to your 18 islands. But also once in a while, you have to mulligan. And deck twice in one game. Oh my god. Yeah, this free Mishra's Factory looking like shit. All right, I'm going to keep this hand. I'm going to get rid of Stifle and Foil, I think. I have the Tide. I like the Tide as a plan. The Stifle helps the Tide. I can also Stifle Tide, returning all the lands to play. I genuinely always love in games of Magic on the channel when I get to just demonstrate a concept like that. I am going to keep these. If I had 1 more island, I would have a turn 2 Dreadnought with foil backup. But instead, I'm going to go into turn 2 with Counterspell up and Impulse if they don't do anything. I stacked Impulse second because if they duress me this turn, Impulse is actually the most important card in my hand. A pass. Like, Impulse finding Gush gives me everything in the entire world. Cycling Undead Gladiator. Okay. Look at this horrible art of this beautiful card. Not that it's horrible. The frame, the vibe in the pre-modern world. Undead Gladiator is a card that I definitely remember being spoiled when it was new, and people were like, man, this is going to go crazy. And by the standards of the age, it kind of did. A Impulse, which might end up declining the Phyrexian Dreadnought on top of my deck, but that's fine because I'm trying to set up Parallax Tide. If I take this island, I could not play it. I think I just want the island anyway. Okay. Yeah, if I can get to Tide before they're ruining my life. Oh, there's Gush. All right. Now I'm set up to do most things that I'd want to do. I can even use Gush as mana next turn. Like float 2, Gush, hit my land drop, that's 4 to play Tide. And it also inherently protects it because Gush turns on foil, as we've talked about many times in this league already. Right, opponent is playing Land Go over there, which I hope turns out to be a devastating strategy versus the Parallax Tide I'm about to ram into play. I'll take your caves. I'll move to combat. Cycling Decree of Justice, making 1 soldier. I accept. You get to draw a card. Exile Bowl. Exile Plains. Exile Swamp. All right, cool. Now it's, can I answer this soldier token before the game is over? If my opponent can destroy Parallax Tide right now, they just get all their lands back like normal because I don't have the Stifle up, but it would be hard to do with 1 mana and through foil. Oh, playing out the Plains. Loosey-goosey, baby. If they just skip this land drop, Parallax Tide ticks down, and I can't do this trick where I just get all 5. Like, it might be worth taking a turn off to just not. Okay, fading happens. Trigger, Stifle. You don't get your lands back. Now, can I advance this game to a spot where I'm actually doing anything? Gush. Oh, they just don't want to play anymore. No faith in the soldier token to get it done. Yeah, that Parallax Tide playing on the sideboard is awesome for soul matchups. On to the next one. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/TheResleevables. I'm on the draw in round number 4. I'm going to keep. Here's this Mistress Factory again. It really needs to redeem itself. Grand Coliseum. Okay, another 5-color something or other going on over there. Yeah, the Mistress Factory. I'm trying to think of, Premodern experts, let me know. When is that card exciting and necessary versus, like, so far in this league, it has caused me to mulligan twice. It's been a target for Dust Bowl. It does not turn on Daze, Gush, Thwart, or Foil. Like, what are we doing? Why is it here? Okay, opponent has crazy 5-color mana base, Reflecting Pool turning on Grand Coliseum, or being turned on by Grand Coliseum, as we all are. Wink, wink. Thwart is on for the first time in the league, if I'm willing to pick up all my permanents to counter a spell. The cycling Slice and Dice, sure. This deals 1 to all creatures when it's cycled, but there are none. They're just recognizing that this is a mono blue matchup and they're not going to slice or dice very many things. I believe I am going to flash my Insight here. Just cycle it off. It seems better in the graveyard most of the time. Impulse in my hand now. All right, well, here's Mistress Factory. Is this just going to turn on removal? Is it going to be good? Am I going to deal 20 damage with it? Time will tell. Impulse. I have one of those too, but mine is the real one. They had to errata the first printing of Impulse. I'm pretty sure it was the Visions version that said, look at the top 4 cards of your library, put them on the bottom in any order, and then shuffle. And you're not supposed to shuffle. That was just like an oops. They put that on the card for no reason. All right, cool. Yeah, here's Mistress Factory being targeted by Dust Bowl in a situation where I could just have 4 islands. And my hand literally has 2 gushes in it. If you're asking me, why would you ever need 4 islands? How about that? Impulse into Impulse. Daze, Stifle, Vision Charm. I don't believe in Daze here. Stifle can target Dust Bowl and cost them a land for no gain, I guess. I'd really like to hit a land drop. Uh-oh. Yeah, this is kind of awkward. I guess I could Flash of Insight. All right, yeah, I'm going to Flash for 2. And I'm literally just trying to find a land to put into play here so I can keep playing Drago. All right, well, that's interesting. Phyrexian Dreadnought's in my hand now. I have Thwart. That could fight over it. I have Gush. All right, I still have a land drop. I think Gush is worth doing here. I'm going to have to discard a bunch of cards in a hand size, but it's time to make something happen. Dreadnought, get in there. Stifle the trigger. Something's happening in response. Miscalculation. I will once again stifle the trigger. And this is Thwart, not foil. If this Mishra's Factory was Island, Thwart would be on right now. God, this card is trash. All right. I'm pretty new to the format, but I am comfortable calling it out when a card is clearly not good. Okay, Vision Charm, phase this out. Do they have 2 counter spells? Do they have a removal spell? Let's have a showdown either way. Counterspell that, and I could Gush to try to hit a foil, but I think I would rather simply not do any of that. That would cost me so many cards if I miss. Yep, alright. Dreadnought is deleted. You win that round. And I'm going to pass, probably discarding Island. I'm not sure if I would even go in all the way, bouncing all my permanents to get that Dreadnought into play, but it feels bad that it's not even an option. All right, we've got a Fact or Fiction here. Fire, Ices versus everything. Is that how I want to do this? In the fire, the Ices are cantrips, Miscalculation, and some lands. And them hitting their land drops forever isn't great for me. All right, I'm going to do this, like the 2 action spells versus the reactive stuff. Okay, they took the 2 Fire Ices. If they take the small pile, you've probably done Fact or Fiction, right? That's my metric for success. Okay, the Fire Ices can also kill Mishra's Factory. I'm going to Portent myself. Island opt. And I'm comfortable sitting on land drops and building out whatever we need to build out here. Yeah, I'm drawing opt. There's the Flooded Strand we saw. I'm not stifling that. I don't know how my opponent's deck actually wins. I'm not going to play this opt at the cost of tapping out a counterspell. And I know what my next 2 cards are. Yeah, I'm just getting Dust Bowled. Cool. Yeah. This card rules. I'm happy it's here. All right. Well, that's dead. We don't have to make bad jokes about Mishra's Factory anymore. Another Grand Coliseum. They've got 5 cards in hand to my 7. I'm not going to opt. I already know my card. Just hit this land drop. The 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 mana to 5 mana. I have more cards in hand. I have 3 win conditions left in my deck. So it's very important that they connect if they happen. And I know my opponent, 2 of their cards in hand are Fire Ice, which can tempo through a Dreadnought for a very long time. Still don't know how they win. 36 cards in their deck to 38 in mine. I am tracking that. Portent. I will keep that on top. Just keep this selection rolling. The 3rd Gush. Portent myself. Foil, Impulse, Phyrexian Dreadnought. Okay. These are good cards. I'm going to go Impulse, Dreadnought, Foil, no shuffle. And because this is a slow trip, I don't even have to discard. If this was Ponder, I would have to discard to hand size. Sorry, Ponder. You're worse than Portent here. Another Grand Coliseum. 5 cards in hand. 2 of them are Fire Ice. Okay, 9 cards in my hand. If I Gush, it will be 12 cards in my hand. Land is 11. Dreadnought Stifle is 9. Presumably we're going to have a fight over something. All right, I mean, going for it. I'm not just going to start discarding to hand size. Another Dreadnought. That's interesting. Okay, with my floating mana, this is Dreadnought plus Stifle. Dreadnought's just in there. 9 cards still in my hand. That's a lot. That's smart. My opponent's going to make me smoke the whole pack here. Go to discard and then figure my life out. Impulsing doesn't even help. Or if we have a fight in my end step, that's cards I don't have to discard. Yeah, that's just smart pre-modern gameplay. I think I can discard Impulse and one of the Gushes. Or I could discard the Island and Gush to refill my foil if I need to do that. Alright, I've discarded the Island. Seafloor Debris. That's an island that can fix into other colors. End step Impulse. Ooh, the Tide. I don't think that's where this game is going. I'm just gonna take another island. I'll put the Tide at the top of the bottom cards. And we know they have those two ices. They can just tempo for a very long time here. And I'm gonna let that happen, I think. Alright, iced, you got it. Vision Charm, okay. That gets this Dreadnought into play. Do I want to go 2? I think I do. Other Dreadnought. Viz. Yeah, knowing that tempoing me with Fire Ice is part of the game plan, having a second one of these is pretty good. And I am still representing 3 counter spells. Impulse is fine. It's fun that with this Grand Coliseum Reflecting Pool mana base, they could have literally anything. They do appear to be base blue-white, but we've seen a few red cards as well. Draw. I'm still not fighting over Fire Ice. I know that if I get hyper aggro right now and both Dreadnoughts connect, I win. But I don't think that's likely to work. And what I don't want is to get randomly Wrath of Godded. Okay, I accept. Opt. Right, I'm going to Gush here. That lets me hit a land drop, and I want a land in my hand for foil anyway, I think. Opt with a floating mana. Counterspell. I'll keep that. And I got a little fiddly at the end, but I think I can discard Chain of Vapor here, and that's a lot of counterspells. Okay. Or we can just save that and do this now. Alright, now I don't have to discard a hand size. Complicate. Counter target spell its opponent. Controller pays 3. Well, I don't have 3, so I'll counter Disenchant again. Okay, I have Foil and Thwart up to stop a sweeper. If they successfully Wrath me here, I have 1 Dreadnought left in my deck that can win the game. What if they have Obliterate, uncounterable, 8 mana, kill everything spell? That would be so sick. Just play it off your Reflecting Pools. Gaia's Blessing targeting Disenchant, Impulse, and Impulse. Is this an Oath deck? Or is Gaia's Blessing just value? Sure, that resolves. A lot of mana being tapped right now. Hardcast a Chroma. Oh, Hardcast Decree of Justice. This makes 3 4/4 Angels. Wow, Chain of Vapor found a home. No, Chain of Vapor is bad because they have plenty of lands to sack. Alright, I'm just going to counter this and then win. Discard both islands, because if I thwart, then I have plenty of islands anyway. Cool game. Mishra's Factory, giant piece of shit, but still, that was fun. I like my opponent's deck. This is definitely a Parallax Tide matchup. Flash of Insight. Daze seems sus. Powder Keg can wipe out any number of tokens that are trying to kill me, whether they're 4/4 or 1/1. Misdirection can help in a counter war. Vision Charm helps versus removal. Finally, a matchup where Thwart is good. I don't think I'm bringing in the kegs. I like Misdirection. I don't think I saw any targets for a null. Blue-white decks, I always get suspicious of Wave and Tide in the dark when I don't know exactly what they're doing. Right, I think I am going to shave a Vision Charm here and go on this Parallax Tide plan. Dreadnought is plan B. I'm leaving the 2 Chain of Vapors in for more Parallax Tide shenanigans. I like this hand. It doesn't have Mishra's Factory in it. This deck could have something like Meddling Mage. That's another reason to have Chain of Vapor in. Stifle Misdirection. Well, this is the whole plan. The problem with Misdirection is it would help in a counter war. Like if they try to counter my Stifle, I can move the counter to Misdirection and get the creature through. But, oh, they kept a 1-lander? That's weird. Okay. So I was saying Misdirection can beat a counterspell, but it does not beat a Swords to Plowshares unless there's another creature to target. I didn't Impulse in the end step because it's not important to do. when I know I'm hitting cards that I want. Okay, Counterspell, Gush, Island. I want these two. And my opponent has 7 spells in their hand. I wonder if their hand is just like all 4 Swords to Plowshares. And they just bet that even if they miss for a while, my hand won't beat what they're doing. But I'm just hitting land drops, vibing in my lane, moisturized. It was probably pretty reasonable to go Dreadnought Stifle with Counterspell up there, but you know, what's the rush? What are we worried about? Yeah, Counterspell and Vision Charm are both great. I think I want Vision Charm. This lets me push with one of the Dreadnoughts here with moderately high confidence. Okay. Finding a foil here is awesome. Dreadnought, Stifle, Swords to Plowshares. I could Gush in response and just see what my options are. Yeah, I still have a land drop to make this turn. Yeah, I'm just going to charm it out. Okay, that fizzles. Stifle resolves, but doesn't matter. Land drop gets me back to 7 cards in hand, and I'm still holding Counterspell plus foil. Oh, the second planes that unlock the disenchant. Did that unlock some cycle to find your next mana thing? I have to assume something's going to come from my Dreadnought right now in the upkeep, or else why did this hand get kept? I counter that spell. More Dreadnoughts. I'm going to portent. Ooh, I could portent them. I'm going to portent you. Okay. Swords to Plowshares on the bottom. Decree of Justice under it. Fact or Fiction on top. Do not shuffle. They're not hitting a land drop for a very long time here. I can play out my land because I have Gush if I need to foil something. And this gives me, like, they're in check. I know they're drawing a brick, but again, they did keep this card. Oh, look at this. All 4 Dreadnoughts coming to the party. Their hand is double plow right now. I might actually struggle. We know they just drew Fact or Fiction, and then next turn they draw a Decree of Justice. Gush. Didn't find Vision Charm, which is what I would have really liked. A foil discarding Island and Phyrexian Dreadnought. Alright, sweet. I mean, obviously they kept a risky hand there, but it had double plow disenchant in it. I can see the wisdom. If their deck has like 28 lands in it, which some of these control decks do, then that was kind of a rough beat, but I was obviously just able to set up and be careful and not jam into their obviously removal spell for the first 5 turns of the game. On to the final round. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in the final round. Positive records locked. Playing for the bread and butter 4-1. I'm going to keep... I need another land, but I have 17 of those to draw, plus 6 cantrips that I'd be happy to see. That's 23 of the cards in my deck, and 2 looks at them before I'm bummed out. Opponent's on a mull to 5. Rush land. Miri's Guile. Ooh, the Enchantress deck. I haven't played against this yet, but I've heard it's good. I am not going to stifle that. Windswept Heath. I am going to stifle this. I know that's aggressive, and that may or may not be correct in this format, but that's a shuffle for the Miri's Guile, and it's their second land when they mull to 5. Alright, I'm not getting paid here. Finding days when you're missing land drops anyway is not the worst thing that's ever happened. Weird, ugly little game. Opponent's on the mull to 5, getting land stifled, and I'm missing land drops. Okay, I'm going to float blue and daze this. Seems like a good one to daze. And with my mana floating, I could Chain of Vapor Miri's Guile, make their next turns a little worse, or I could save that for a future real problem. Yeah, I think saving that for a future real problem is much smarter than fighting over Miri's Guile. Okay, here we go. Doesn't turn on my Gushes, but why would it? Doesn't turn on foil, but why would it? Here's this Mishra's Factory. You love to see it. The third land. Playing around Stifle. Coward. Okay, Carpet of Flowers and Choke are both cards in this format. A quick look at internet resources indicates that Enchantress main decks usually don't have those, though. Okay, I am now at the spot where I need something to put my Dreadnought into play. And those of you keeping score at home could point to the Stifle in my graveyard, but those of you also keeping score at home could point to the days that was able to hit Argothian Enchantress because I stifled that fetch land. Sterling Grove. Okay, so their other enchantments have Shroud. Just going to have to live with that. And I get to look at least 5 cards here. And we're looking for a Stifle. No Stifle. Second Dreadnought doesn't matter. Another foil. That could gas me all the way up. All right, I'm going to take foil number 2. And that turns on both gushes. I don't think I'm gushing for a Stifle here. That seems so reckless. Right, island in play. Yeah, they're just passing back, it seems. Seal of Cleansing. Well, that ruins my future plans. All right, I'm going to gush in response and then foil this thing. Discard an island, and what's my second worst card in my hand? How many Dreadnoughts do I need? I could discard this Mishra's Factory, though that is now my 3rd land drop. Is Chain of Vapor going to do anything with Sterling Grove around? I don't think so. All right. This is now the plan. I can impulse off that mana. Gush, Portent, foil. My god. All right. I'll take Portent because I'm desperately looking to turn the corner here with a Stifle. Portent myself. All right, there's a Vision Charm. We're keeping. Okay, Gush, Vision Charm, Flash of Insight. Don't shuffle. And I'm going to leave the island in my hand so I don't have to gush to foil. But then I can't gush anymore. All right, I hope they just don't have some messed up card right now. I draw for Portent. Miri's Guile still cranking. They still haven't fetched. Could have shuffled up this Miri's Guile a number of times and haven't done it yet. That's pretty scary. Okay, here we go. There's a fetch. Finally didn't like any of the cards, and I'm finally tapped out of Stifle. There's 2 things both playing into that spot. Okay, they made no play. No land drop, no spell. How confident am I in the Viz here? If I go Dreadnought, Vision Charm, I have foil that can protect it. I could spend a turn flashing my Insights. This deck plays a bunch of Seal of Cleansing. It has Parallax Wave. All right, I'm going to send Dreadnought. I have done a lot this game to make it hard for this green-white deck to do what they want to do. I took out the Enchantress. They've been guiling every turn, but it's hard to know how many turns they spent not guiling or not shuffling because they were afraid of Stifle. And if they go Sterling Grove here for Seal of Cleansing, I just counter that. Sarah's Sanctum. Either a Hot Rip or a Sandbag. Parallax Wave. I guess that card's pretty annoying. I'll gush in response. And then foil. Discard Island and one of the flashes. Because I could flash for half my deck at this point. My hand's really bad right now. Is Mishra's Factory about to do something? If I can attack with, like putting them to 1, but turning off Brushland's not even a thing. What am I even saying? It doesn't matter. Yeah, the Flash of Insight, getting this many looks at foil is how I'm going to win this game. Okay, put you to 3 and pass. Flash of Insight is good for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cards. That's 11 looks at 2 foils. They spent the Sterling Grove, which makes Sarah's Sanctum worse and makes Miri's Guile not matter. A Parallax Wave put to the top, and they have to take 1 to play it unless there's a Plains in the hand, or a way to a 1-mana green enchantment that they can filter mana through. A fetch land. Okay. I'm going to Flash of Insight in response. For 11 cards, can I find foil? Yes. I'll take it. I'm going to declare any order on that. And then Island and Phyrexian Dreadnought discarded to counter that. And here we go. Okay, Mishra's Factory almost relevant this game. With my opponent at 2 with a fetch land and a pain land in play, maybe it would have done something there. Okay, sweet. I liked that. Annul. Is Annul good against the deck full of enchantments? Powder Keg does not kill enchantments. It is artifacts and creatures specifically. This is not Ratchet Bomb. Okay, Annul's great. I'm pretty certain this is a Parallax Tide matchup. Chain of Vapor could create interesting situations. But if they have Sterling Grove, it doesn't matter. But they are a deck full of permanents. And buying 1 turn to do stuff probably matters. Daze was clutch versus that Argothian Enchantress, but is that going to line up in my favor that often? The Serra Sanctum deck, probably not one that I want a lot of dazing against. I like Counterspell, Thwart, and Foil. Opponent's probably going to have Carpet of Flowers now, too. Okay, I think I am going to shave a Vision Charm. I've been doing that when I bring in Parallax Tide, just because Tide is pretty reliable, even though I did just spend that entire game churning like crazy for Vision Charm. I still think it's probably on the right side of history to focus on Parallax Tide. A Chain of Vapor could slow down a clutch enchantment for a turn or pop off with Tide, both of which are things I want to be doing. But also I spent that whole game with Chain of Vapor in my hand and never had a target. I need one more cut. Do I cut the Thwart? I mean, a free counterspell is going to be so important if they try to wave me on the turn I Dreadnought. I don't think I want to cut a Dreadnought. All right, I'm going to cut Thwart just because I'm running out of time to figure it out, though I don't have high confidence that that's right. Stifle, Counterspell. Okay. Give me another Windswept Teeth. I'm coming for it. This hand has 4 lands in it, which is the number that casts Parallax Wave or Parallax Tide. And I have Stifle to stop the lands from coming back. Or if I draw a Mighty for Phyrexian Dreadnought, I can send it. Oh my goodness, opponent is mulled to 4. Okay, well, mull to 4 is tough. Forest is not a fetch land. Island, pass. Brushland, also not a fetch land. Alright, they did what they need to do. They stuck an Enchantress. Opt. A little late. Okay, the mull to 4 will quickly come undone if they're really doing anything to support this Argothian Enchantress. You can't have 2 of them. No. No. I'm gonna opt now. Finding opt, yeah. We keep those. Playing the long game here. Gaia's Blessing, targeting Argothian Enchantress, sure. That's back in your deck. I wonder if the 4-card hand was just 2 lands, 2 Enchantresses, and I'd keep that too. I'm going to send Foil to the bottom. I'm looking for action, and here we go. Oh my god. Checkmate. Alright, well, Dreadnought, Stifle. I'm holding up Counterspell, and I can gush into Foil. And if they have Seal of Cleansing, I can even stifle the activation of it. Ooh, Carpet of Flowers. That's a lot of juice. I think I actually am going to counter this because that just unlocks so many options when I shoved the Dreadnought because they were kind of spinning. Fetch land from hand, and it's my turn. Cool. Feeling good. Attack with Dreadnought. Big crush. And I'm going to main phase Gush here. I have a land drop to give. I want an island in my hand anyway. Hit the Impulse to spend the mana. Chain of Vapor, another foil. The second foil... Oh, I have a second Gush. All right. Happy with that. Pass the turn. Gush plus foil is a combo. I am not going to stifle this fetch because Seal of Cleansing is a stifleable ability. And that's one of the ways that they can interact with me here. And all I need to do is stop them from interacting for 1 turn. I can also stifle an Enchantress trigger or a Carpet trigger. There's a lot of targets for stifle here. Gaia's Blessing, whatever. Yeah, that's just a 2-mana cantrip. That doesn't matter. We got the GGs. A tough mulligans over there. But, I mean, Dreadnought is there to punish tough mulligans. Look at this league. I lost narrowly to Reanimator, who won the die roll in a 2-1 set, and then 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. Didn't lose a game after that point. I dare say this deck is pretty good. And that was me trying to navigate this without a lot of format knowledge and without a lot of deck knowledge. I was just, I don't want to say doing things at random because that's not true. I was doing them thoughtfully, but I've never had a conversation with anyone about how to build or sideboard with this deck before. I'm fairly confident the Mishra's Factory is not worth the squeeze. After playing 5 matches, I do have at least one opinion about how to build this deck. But just going on intuition and general Magic knowledge, figuring out like the Parallax Tide plan out of the sideboard for the slow matchups, and not getting too crazy about Chain of Vapor or Powder Keg against anyone who could have anything for it, and just keeping it light, staying in the plan. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think it was very smart of me to understand that Gush puts an island in your hand and you can foil. That, of course, is a joke. That is a very obvious core interaction of the deck, but it is a messed up interaction. And who needs Force of Will when you can draw 4 cards and then Force of Will without losing a life? And it costs 1 less to hardcast. And a lot of games do come down to hardcasting Force of Will and Legacy. And I had opportunities to hardcast foil in this league as well. Awesome deck, awesome format. I continue to have fun doing this. Beer Guard, thank you for the opportunity to play this deck. Everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon to support the channel and to submit decks you want to see. Wink, wink. A lot of people have been saying more Premodern, please, in the comments. I play what the Patreon sends me. There's a way to control that. Join the Patreon. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm out of here.